Y'all ready for another episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast? How's it going? This is episode 22 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. We are so much more than just a clothing company. We allow the human body to work, doing it mostly through clothing, and we also discuss that we live in a modern, flat, man-made 2024, and our hands are rounded, and there's so much man-made flatness, and so we talk about accommodating for that by using things that are more rounded and things with texture for our hands, and we just allow clothing to fit on our bodies correct. So pants need to be entirely above the hips, to just be off of them to allow the hips to open and move and work how they're designed to, and then slightly higher in the front than in the rear to keep that core activated. And then for the tops that we wear, the seams on top need to sit behind that little bone that is the other end of your collarbone, keeping your shoulders in their natural position by doing that, and then also leaving those edge seams of the shoulders right at the very edges. Then we have our two prerequisites just to allow the body to have a chance in other ways, right? Meaning in addition to those things, like once we've done that, lacing our shoes with the technique that In the Image Clothing Company uses. Included with that technique is to tie them evenly over toward the inside. That will just allow your feet to be unaltered, having a solid foundation traveling up the rest of your body. And the second prerequisite is to remove all tags from clothing, even within the tongues of the shoes. If they're too hard to remove because they're heat shrunk on there, you can just put like slits into it with a knife or scissors, just to allow some texture on that ankle for that foot to dorsiflex and have those toes be able to be lifted up. Okay, so anywhere tags are placed that's, in addition to just in the shoes, anywhere in clothing, it's just causing a gap. It's changing the way that the body naturally works. So we are In the Image Clothing Company, as I just said and discussed, but this is In the Image Clothing Company podcast, one of the thirds of our company. We also have the main side of things where we discuss the anatomy of the human body and clothing and what those two things are doing, like together, right? Their relationship. And then we also have In the Image Clothing Company music, and that's a whole thing in itself, man. So here at the podcast, we discuss the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I was over there today, just now. I just walked back in the door. I went over and filmed a video for the main company side of things. And it's actually, the video is titled The Truth Behind Fingernails. We have our Truth Behind series where we discuss things that there's misconceptions about and just kind of pick them apart and discuss the truth behind them. And I was walking back from there just now, and I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast episode because I got something I want to talk about. I am into this thing in a deeper way than probably most people would be before seeing results. This is the 22nd episode of the podcast. We have 30-something videos on In the Image Clothing Company music. I've got somewhere around, I've made well over 200 videos for the main company side of things, even if there's not that many as of today's date placed there. Some things have been kind of moved around and things, but I've done a lot. I'm not saying that for any kind of thing other than I've done a lot, and I understand that people might look at it being like, you have seen basically, very, very, very little results, if you will, for what you've done so far. But here's the thing. This podcast episode is titled Unchanging Truths. I don't know why I used that voice, but it is. And that's what I want to talk about, is I have made all these videos, at least like the main company video side of things, and then the podcast is just something that we're doing always, meaning just whenever it happens, and then the music side of things, same thing. But as far as the main company's videos and all this foundational stuff and getting this whole like sure-footed, start to things, these videos will live on forever. Unless these videos get entirely deleted, they will live on forever. They will apply to human beings forever. That's the whole thing about it. When I discuss, we discuss unchanging universal truths that apply to everybody. I say that kind of stuff all the time within videos because that's what it is. And so the point is, it doesn't matter if this didn't launch for another 20 years. Like if I kind of put this all away And 20 years later, I pick it back up. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's actually like, start getting clothing available and things like that and whatever. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but I have all these things that will last forever, be just as applicable forever, forever. We discuss the human body. That's the point of our company. And our bodies don't change. We don't evolve like animals do, if that even happens. I mean, I don't want to get into like a discussion on evolution right now, and maybe never, but maybe. But no, I mean, human bodies, they just work how they work. We're designed in the image, as our company name, of our living God, Jesus the Christ. And so we're going to always be working the same. And so the videos will always apply. I know that some people might be looking at this like, wow, this guy's still going with these videos. Like, he's got, as of last night when I checked earlier today I checked as well, there's 10 subscribers to where the videos are currently placed for like the main company side of things. And I got like 150-ish videos. Like I said, I've made more than that, but and these videos are somewhere between, usually most all of them are somewhere between a half hour and an hour in length, somewhere in there, maybe even longer, and some are very slightly shorter than a half hour, but they're almost all at least a half hour long, full of like information. I'm just standing there, just discussing the stuff that we talk about and the stuff that our company is and how to allow the body to work. So I put a lot of, I don't want to say this in any kind of like, there's no kind of like intention behind this, but just looking at it as it is, I put a lot of effort into this. I put a lot of time into this, and I've really, made quite a few documented videos, and they will last forever. So I was walking back, and not only did I think to make this, but I saw a bald eagle. And that's not so common around here. At least that's not common for me to see here in Utah, the state of Utah, United States of America. We have them. I mean, I saw one, but I've only seen one other bald eagle as far as I can remember. Maybe I've seen another one, or maybe even quite a few, but as far as I can remember, I've only seen one other bald eagle in my life. And it was at the beginning of this year. Yeah, so I was walking back, and I saw this guy walking through the field looking up at this tree with his phone. He was like filming like this. And I'm like, is he filming the sky? Is there like something up there or what? And then I looked at there's the big tree, and I thought it was an owl. I've seen quite a few owls. We got owls around here. But I'm like, it's a big bird, I mean, the thing's like bigger than I can place my hands within this frame to show. For those of you watching this in visual, I mean, these birds are like probably 2 feet tall or bigger. I mean, it's a big bird, bald eagles. So yeah, I mean, probably about 2 feet tall, big old bird. And so last night, man, I was sitting downstairs in this house that I live in, and there's this little bald eagle on this shelf. And I think it's carved out of wood or something, but anyway, our God speaks to us in any and all ways. We cannot limit him. We cannot put him in a box and say he only speaks to humans in this way or that way. That's not true. He is almighty, and he is the creator of all things, and so he gets to decide how those things are, besides like the fact that he doesn't go against anything that is his word, right? Because he's unchanging, but meaning like he's able to do anything as well. So bald eagles are, I mean, a lot of cultures see it this way, and yeah, bald eagles are just kind of a sense of like freedom, Well, United States of America, I mean, that's our national bird. As far as I'm aware, it's illegal to shoot a bald eagle. That's our national bird. And the United States of America was founded on freedom. Bald eagles are like a symbol of freedom and a symbol of like, what I want to kind of say is like a launch, like launching into like full potential, if you will. And that's been something that I've been spoken to with through bald eagles. So, yeah. So, really cool because, well, the point, I didn't quite finish saying what I was saying. I thought it was an owl. But then the woman who was with the guy, maybe his wife, And then there was a kid there as well. She's like, she turned and looked at me as I'm just walking, on my way home, and she's like, "There's a bald eagle up here." I'm like, "Oh, that's sweet," because I didn't know that's what it was until she said that. And so, yeah, really cool stuff. But it was kind of like a good little, encouraging thing, because I just felt so right about once I came home from church today that I was supposed to go over and make another video, even though I don't normally like to do work on Sundays, right? On the Sabbath. It's the day of rest for a reason. Our God rested on the seventh day after he created our world, our earth, within 6 days. That's why we have 7 days within a week. And I felt so right about going over there to film this video. And I've just been feeling the past little bit here that it's like I was saying, I'm like, it's like I got my foot in the door, I'm into this thing, man. I mean, this is a real thing at this point. It's been a real thing since the beginning, as far as I knew it was going to, even though I didn't really know how or how to do that. But now it's like, if I'm looking back, meaning I'm looking back at these videos that I've made, and I'm looking at, the company's growth and where we are, and I'm like, holy cow, yeah, this is sweet. So we're here, man. As far as we're always here, we're never going to like get somewhere. I'm not like, look where we're gonna get to be so big. No, I mean, but look at what we are. And I just want to make it so clear that these videos will last forever. The information that I discuss being the founder will be the same forever. I mean, if we take just the one video I made today, the truth behind fingernails, that video is going to apply to human beings if we're still here, right? In 500 years or X amount of years, no matter how many. And so it's really cool to just not worry about the things that a lot of people could worry about trying to start something within this world. Keyword being world, as in worldly things, worldly companies, worldly trends, worldly fads, as far as things that come and go. Our information at In The Image Clothing Company will not leave. It will not change. It will apply to humans forever. And that's what's so cool. That's what sets us apart. And that's because it's truth. Unchanging, just as our God is the truth. Jesus the Christ is truth, and he is unchanging. So now us as human beings running a company, we are imperfect, and so we can mess up left and right, and we will. But as far as what we discuss, it's unchanging things. So I'm so grateful to be able to just share this kind of stuff, to not have to worry about it being as like popular as I want it, or somebody thinks it should be, or anything by any certain point or ever, or whatever. It doesn't matter, because even if we never made a dime off of this company, because I haven't as of now, as of today's date, even if I never did, I'm still making videos documenting unchanging eternal truths, and that's sweet, right? And that's it, sharing the gospel. That's essentially spreading the gospel. It's just giving people truth. So I just kind of wanted to, talk about that for a bit, because, it's like what I was starting to say. You see people starting companies, and a lot of it's conditional on the way that the world looks at the time, or the things that people are into, or the way that the world's not only just looking, but structured, as far as the things that we use or the things that are commonly done. And we're not like that here. We're not like a company. We are, but that's what I've said since the beginning. It's more of a community than anything else. And it's really cool, man. I mean, I've also said since the very start, I gotta stay in check with not trying to hold things back, not trying to own this information, this just universal truth. Putting patents on things and stuff in ways that are a little bit too ownership-y, where we're just discussing how our human bodies work, and I'm just showing how clothing has to fit, and, how to let the body just do what it does. And so, I kind of got to keep myself in check, meaning I got to pray and let my God keep me in check. to not be like trying to own this information, not be worried about somebody else starting up a company out of like the blue that's like pretty much exactly what we're doing and like take us over kind of thing, It's like, all right, cool, whatever, It's not something I own as far as the information. And I gotta stay in check with that. So that's kind of what this podcast is explaining, is like, it's just stuff that's just eternal. It's stuff that's universal. It's stuff that it doesn't matter. I think the big thing is the timeline. We get in this idea of, if you're starting a company, you got to get it off the ground. And, anybody, I don't look at it this way. And I'm so grateful that I don't, like, that I don't even have the potential to like, within my own being, have that be like what I'm seeing. Because I don't think anything about like the amount of time that it's taken. But I know that some people around me have been saying like, you got to start doing something with your life. And I'm like, you're just not seeing what I'm doing. And if you never do, that's okay. But if it takes some time and you have this aha, then you will. Because I'm doing more with my life that's important than I ever have up until this point. Because this stuff is stuff that will live on forever. So it's really cool, man. I mean, it doesn't matter, because I say it all the time, it doesn't matter who's on board with us as a company or who thinks we have opinions on these things. It doesn't matter, because we're not trying to get people on board with us. We're just talking about truth. So, some things seem pretty fun within this world. Some things seem pretty entertaining. Some things seem like, whatever it could be, but really the only thing that's important is the gospel of Jesus Christ. The only thing that's important is doing all that we can to glorify our God. And the way that we're going to do that is by talking about things, living our lives in ways, and putting importance on things that are just unchanging and eternal. And, I mean, we could potentially just change, potentially every single life if people could come across what we're talking about. Every single human to exist, right? If they see what we're talking about at In The Image Clothing Company, because it's truth, we could change every single life. And that's the whole point. All we need is truth as human beings. That's it. And it's just such a blessing. That's something I'm just going to continue to say all the times that I do say that. It's how big of a blessing this company is to be able to have, to be able to not have something that I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make something of In The Image Clothing Company. I'm just trying to learn deeper truth. And then I'm just sharing it. That's it. And then whoever comes on the team, I keep discussing that too. That's something I've said since, right at the launch, when I realized like, oh shoot, I'm making this like a real thing. All right, cool. Like, I'm going to need a team. Whoever comes on the team, it's the same thing. It's like, it's not, I'm going to be pretty darn particular about who I pick to be on the team here. The In The Image Clothing Company team, because we got to have our priorities set on Christ, not some monetary value, not some kind of recognition within the world, not looking a certain way because of how we're dressed as far as the clothing. But I've said like, what's really the point of our clothing is for our bodies to be the thing that gets noticed as far as how well they function. Because, we're not about fashion. And it's not like we're trying to get people to see our clothing, but people will notice us. And ideally, the light of Christ being shown through us, because we're allowing what we've been given, being our bodies, to just do what it was designed to. And that's happening through In The Image Clothing Company clothing. So, yeah. Unchanging truths. It just will always be how it is. No matter, because that's the thing, is fashion trends tend to change. What people want to wear or what's common to wear tends to change. But no matter what in that way can change, the way that the human body is reacting to what's placed on it, being clothing, will never change. So it doesn't matter, because our designs might look differently as time goes on, right? We might have designs that look a certain way for a few years, and then, because we might, not for the sake of keeping up with fashion trends, but we might kind of sort of stick around fashion trends. I'm just not sure yet exactly how it's going to look. So I can't even tell you if I couldn't even tell you, right? I can't tell myself as of now. Like, I don't know. But we might kind of stick around fashion trends as things do change. But within that, it's just doing everything that we can to just allow the body to work. So because that's the thing, is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how our clothing even looks as far as design in like a visual way, but it's just about the locations it sits and the materials it's made out of being, just natural materials and things like that. So, right. And just always, we have our whole, minimize, simplify, allow, just those kind of things within clothing. So it's just universal, unchanging, forever truths. So it's very fitting to be saying this on the 22nd of December, because the 25th of December is the day that we celebrate the annual celebration of remembering that our God was born onto this earth. And we call that Christmas, right? So, talking about unchanging things, like, when it comes to Christmas time, let's please try to see Christmas for what it is. That goes for everybody. It's so great to be able to receive. And a lot of times we receive presents or gifts or whatever you want to call them at Christmas time. But we got to realize what Christmas is really about. I'm not telling you something. I'm not trying to get you on board with something, right? I love that I say that, because, I'm not trying to like do anything besides tell you the truth, really. Christmas is something that, just like what we could be saying about clothing, right? Where you could get caught up in fashion and you can get caught up in trends. You can get caught up in the way that it looks and what the clothing is doing for you in the worldly sense, the recognition you're getting, the hype you get when people compliment your outfits. And that's not always bad for people to compliment your outfits. It really isn't. I don't want to make that seem like that's the case. But, when we get a little too focused on the way that we look because of our clothing, meaning really the way that our clothing looks, more than just focusing on our bodies, then things get skewed. And our body's natural workings get, potentially, in those cases, very, very altered. Now, if we look at Christmas and we think about it in a worldly way, out of trends, out of cultural things and worldly ways of seeing it, secular ways of seeing Christmas in a twisted way, then we can potentially just damage what it is. We can pervert what it is. And Christmas is a very sacred holiday. And I'm not trying to get after people, but sometimes Christmas songs get taken pretty far and get a little bit weird, a little bit inappropriate. Sometimes certain things at Christmas time, can get, just like every good thing, very, very twisted and skewed to where sometimes things that are like the most holy and beautiful and great things can be twisted and just slightly off to where now they're like very evil. So we got to remember what Christmas is about. We got to try all that we can to respect the holiday as if like you're sitting within a chapel at a church. Give it the proper reverence. And I'm not focusing on this as if like, as long as you're seeing this right around Christmas time, like every day is Christmas, because like I'm saying, the focus of Christmas is to remember our God and to have a really set apart time where we celebrate an anniversary of his birth. But every day is Christmas because we get to live with the Spirit of our God in our presence every single day, as long as we, on our end, are open to receiving his Spirit. He stands at the door and knocks, and we just have to open it and allow him to come into. Within the parable, it says he stands at the door and knocks. We then have the opportunity to open the door and have him come in and dine with us. But just in daily life, if he's standing there knocking, we just have the opportunity to choose to open the door and let him in, not just to dine with us, but to go through life with us, to hold our hand through everything, to help us make our decisions, but really just to tell us how to make our decisions, because he knows everything and we don't. And he wants the best for us, but he's not going to give things to us if we're not willing to do our end of things. And he's not just going to give us what we want, because that's actually damaging to us if it's not something that's going to help us. So every day we get to live with our God, but we have to be the ones choosing to do that. When it comes to Christmas and the holiday season, all the hype will leave once Christmas ends. All the presents and the excitement of opening them and getting something new is gone once Christmas is over. All the lights that people put up and the Christmas trees and the stockings and everything will get taken down, forgotten about until a little while before Christmas the next year, right after it ends. It'll all just be something that we remember. The holiday season, the family parties, the parties with the friends, the things that you got to open, the things that you got to give to others, the food that you had. It's just an event as far as Christmas as a holiday. But Christmas as I want to use the word memorial, but I don't know if that's quite exactly what you would say. But yeah, Christmas as an anniversary is something that won't leave, because it's not just a one-day-a-year thing in that sense. Every day we can choose to have a heart posture to look at our lives as if it's Christmas, and to be realizing that the things that we experience around Christmas time, the love and the togetherness and all the giving that happens, that's something that we can be dwelling within every day. It's not something that's just reserved to one time a year. And it's kind of sad that a lot of times people, once Christmas is over and all the happiness seems to just go away, sometimes people revert back to some pretty bad habits that seem to kind of disappear around Christmas time. And I'm just saying that because it's like it's opposition in all things, man. It's like the rise and the crash of the waves. You know, the waves are rising up and it seems like something big's happening, or the roller coaster's going up to the top, or, the rain water evaporates and everything always comes up, but it always goes back down as well. Everything that goes up must come down. And if you look at the Christmas season as like some kind of hype, once it's over, you have the potential to feel kind of crushed. Like, man, not till next year will I get the chance to feel this way again. You have the potential to think, and that's not true, man. I mean, it's like what I'm saying within the stuff that I'm talking about in the Image Clothing Company. It's unchanging truths forever. That spirit that you feel within inside of you, that lightheartedness, that love, that togetherness, and that family friendship, that's something that every one of us can experience all the time if we are open to putting ourselves aside and putting our God first. And that's the only way we're going to feel those kind of feelings that we love so much, because the reason why we love them so much is because that's us. We're created in the image of our perfect God, and we're imperfect. And so those beautiful feelings that we have the potential to feel around times like that, or in certain places within the pews, in the chapel or in the temple, you can feel that anywhere. Because our God is just as everywhere as he is anywhere. But we, on our ends, have to be open to seeing it. And we have the potential to always see that. And don't get down on yourself, just like I don't need to get down on myself if we don't always feel that. Just because I say that we have the potential to, we're going to mess up and we're going to get, potentially get caught up in things here and there. We're just sinful people, man. We're just humans. So these unchanging truths, things that they're there always. They're always the same. The feelings are always the same. The ways that things are structured are always the same. Christmas is every day. So I'm going to wrap this up. I love that. Merry Christmas. I made a podcast episode yesterday, and I was like, if I don't make another one before Christmas, then Merry Christmas. And then here we are the next day, so who knows? Maybe we got one every day till Christmas, or maybe we don't until after Christmas. Either way, Merry Christmas. And let's remember, to the best of what we can, what it's about, and that it doesn't leave after Christmas is over. It's a pretty special feeling. Sometimes people experience that feeling for what seems like their first time, and maybe even potentially their first time on this earth. I don't think that's the case, but what seems like their first time, sometimes people around Christmas time experience the presence of our God. And that's something you can experience anytime, anywhere. And, oh, shoot. So, yeah. Okay, we will have clothing available to just allow the body to work. We are a clothing company after all. Check out In The Image Clothing Company music. Check out the main side of things within what we show to allow the body to work. And thank you. Unchanging truths. We are imperfect people. But at this company, we do all that we can to just discuss things that don't ever change for the sake of helping people, for the sake of drawing people closer to Christ and giving people context on their own body's function. Because just because we've lived in this body our whole lives doesn't mean that we know how it even works. And I'm an example of that. So that's what we're helping people do, amongst all the other things that come through In The Image Clothing Company. So thank you for checking out episode 22 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. Today is also the 22nd of December, and I just think that's pretty cool because I didn't plan that. Yesterday I didn't plan that either when I did the 21st episode, so this is pretty cool. Lots of really cool stuff. Life's pretty cool, man. Even the really hard things, even the very unexpected things, even the things that turn out in ways you never would have wanted. Yeah. All right. Thank you.